Hello everyone. Today we shall be taking a look upon the poem The Road Not Taken, which is the first poem in the syllabus of Standard 9. This poem has been written by Robert Frost. Robert Frost, as we all know, is an American poet. Let us have a look upon his life. An American poet who was born on 26th March 1874 and died on 29th January 1963. Robert Frost is well known for his realistic depictions of life, which will also be visible when we shall study this poem. There are a few records on the name of Robert Frost, like he is the only poet to receive 4 Pulitzer Prizes for poetry. He was named as Poet Laureate of Vermont on 22nd July 1961, 2 years before his death. And there is one more notable achievement. Although he was never able to get the Nobel Prize for Literature, but still he was nominated 31 times in his career, in his life, for the Nobel Prize in Literature. This poem, The Road Not Taken, it is a symbolic interpretation of the problem that comes in selection of choices. All of us throughout our life come across many choices, and the methodology that we use to make a selection is always the main point to ponder whether we become successful or not. The poet comes upon a diversion in life, and as I have already told you, the methodology that he uses to make his selection is the point of discussion. This poem is a beautiful representation of human psychology. We will see in the second and third paragraph there are a few examples which tell about the human psychology, where the poet depicts events of human psychology and the ideological difference that exists between winners and followers. So this poem can also be considered, as a part of motivation. But before that, this poem is nothing but a manifestation, a representation of many problems that come across our life. Now moving on to the poem, this poem can be divided into 4 stanzas of 5 lines each, and each stanza gives a meaning, has a different way in propagating the poem. So now we shall be studying the poem stanza wise. Now let us move upon the first stanza. In the first stanza, as you can see, the poet says, "Two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both." So the first thing that the poet says is that he comes across a diversion. The diversion in a yellow wood. Now this phrase, everybody, this phrase yellow wood is a representation. Like, you can't come across a yellow colored wood. We have never seen it. So wood here means forest, and yellow wood means forest in the autumn season when all the leaves have turned yellow and they are falling. This season is also called in America as the fall. So this yellow wood is a symbolic representation of a forest in autumn season. And the poet is also trying to say that he was shedding off his connections just like a tree sheds off its old leaves, and he was ready to make a fresh start. In the first paragraph, he tells, as we have seen, that he is standing on a forked path, and the problem that he is alone, he could not travel both the paths, and he does not know the exact way, the exact end point of any of the paths. So now he will have to make a choice. How does he make the choice? He looked down one as far as I could. Looked down one as far as I could to where it went in the undergrowth. So the poet just stood there. He had a glance upon both the paths in order to evaluate the possible outcomes of both the paths. But as we have already seen, the end point was not visible. The forests are surrounded by trees and shrubs and bushes, and often it is quite unclear to judge where a forest path goes. Similarly in life, Many bushes, shrubs come like problems, and due to those problems we are not able to judge the end point that we will be achieving. So before thinking about the results, we need to make a choice, we need to walk upon a path, and that path shows where we will go. That path is what will tell us what we become in life. So the poet here tells that he had to make a selection through intuition instead of evaluation. He had to follow his instincts. Now, what happens in the second paragraph? Let us have a look. The second paragraph, the poet has finally made a choice. He says, then took the other just as fair and having perhaps the better claim. The poet looked upon one path until where it went in the undergrowth, and now the poet took the other path. He says that the path was looking exactly the same, the paths were identical, but he tells that the path he selected had the better claim. Why? Why the path selected by the poet had a better claim? Just pay attention to it because it might come as a question. Why was the path selected by the poet considered to have a better claim? The answer is given in the next line, because it was grassy and wanted wear. It means the path the poet has selected was walked by less number of people. It was walked by less number of people. The people who had traveled upon the second path, the path selected by the poet was less, and hence the poet got a chance to have more opportunities. The selection of the second road, it is a mixture, an amalgamation of risks and opportunities. When the poet had selected the second path, he had thought that he will get more opportunity as the number of travelers on that path is less. But it also came with a risk of not having the possibility of much help in the case of any unexpected problem. Like consider the poet falls, the poet trips over, the poet comes into a problem through out of which he is unable to come on his own. So if he would have selected the first path where the number of travelers were more, then he might have got the chance of having some help. But on the second path, as the number of people is less, as the opportunities are more, the risks are evident, and the risks are also extra. So this gives a life lesson that if you want to achieve something which has not been achieved by many people, if you want to make a mark in your life which is different from others, then you will have to walk upon a path that is different from others. You will have to take the risks that nobody else has taken, and then only you will be able to achieve a name and fame that nobody has ever achieved. In the last couplet of this paragraph, the poet said, though as for that the passing there, means the people who were passing from the place had warned them really about the same. It means that everyone got an opportunity to make a selection. There was no person present over there who can complain that, oh no, I did not see that opportunities. Listen, children, opportunities always come in our life, but they come like the diversion, one of the diversions that the poet has faced. We always get to make choices, but it is the choice that we make which decides what the choice makes us. First we make a choice and then the choice makes us. Okay, so our fate, our destiny is always in our hands. The problem is the methodology through which we make the choice. So now the poet has selected the second path, the path which was traveled by the less number of people, the path which has more opportunities, the path which has more risks. And now let us see what happens ahead in the third paragraph. So then, in the start of the third paragraph, the poet says, and both that morning equally lay. In leaves, no step had trodden black. Oh, I kept the first for another day, yet knowing how way leads on to way. I doubted if I should ever come back. So this stanza can be divided into two parts. The first part is that the diversion had equal opportunities, but it had one risk as well, that the travelers on both the paths, no one had come, no step had trodden black. Means the footprints were still visible, but the outcomes weren't. Either the end was very promising or it was extremely scary. This is also an aspect of human psychology, that even after we have made a choice, we are constantly differing in ourselves, that whether our choice is right or not, whether we should turn back or not. But still, the poet, of course, he selected the second path to walk upon, but he had a question in his mind, that it might be a possibility that in some point of time I might realize that my selection was wrong and the path that I had left behind was right. So the poet here gives himself hope that okay, if I get a chance someday, I will walk upon the first path as well. But right now, I will walk upon my selection. In the third line, he says that he kept the first path for another day. And in the very next line, he says, how way leads on to way. Like in human life, this process of getting choices and making selections moves in a never ending spiral. It is a never ending spiral, everyone. We always get to have choices, we make selections, and we walk upon. So these diversions do not come only once in our life, they keep on coming. And we never get a chance to come back from the second path and go back on the first one again. The same thing happened with the poet. He doubted the fact if he would ever come back. But still, he gave himself hope that okay, if anything bad happens on the second way, I might get a chance someday to come back and travel on the first one as well, to have a look what the people traveling from the first one achieve. But right now, the poet stays firm on his decision and walks on to the second path. The second path which was traveled by lesser number of people. Now, moving on to the concluding paragraph of this chapter. Now, in the last paragraph, the poet says, the last line of the third paragraph was, I doubted if I should ever come back. So the fourth paragraph, the last paragraph, can be continued from that position. If the poet ever came back, he says that he shall be telling this with a sigh. Now see, this single word, sigh, has multiple meanings. It is upon the reader how he interprets the situation. Like you can say that the poet has now grown old and now he is finally relaxing, and that is why he is telling this with a sigh. But another type of reader might also feel that the poet is now tired of making choices and making selections and walking upon taking risks. The poet is now extremely tired, he is exhausted, and thus he is saying this with a sigh. But being positive minded people, as many authors, many people who have reviewed this poem tell, that the poet Robert Frost always tends to incline towards the positive views in much of his poems. So this poem should also be understood through a positive ending. So the poet says that if he ever comes back, he shall be telling this with a sigh, that somewhere ages and ages hence, and after a lot of time will pass, after he will grow old, he will tell this. What will he tell? Two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by. He says that he will tell this more probably to his future generations, to his sons and his grandsons, or to the people in his locality who will come to know about his story. Whether it's a success story or a failure story, this is upon you to decide. But as I have already said, we shall consider this as a success story. So those people who will come to listen to the poet's success story will listen to the fact said by him that he will tell everyone two roads diverged in a wood and he took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. What is the difference between losers and winners, between followers and leaders? And that is the difference that the poet gets through making a selection of a road that was less traveled by. He also could have selected lesser risks but lesser opportunities. He could have waited upon that, and due to this he has got all the difference and he eventually became a winner. So the lesson that is to be learned from this poem is that whenever you come across a movement which requires you to make a decision, and always keep this in mind that your decision cannot be changed. Ways lead upon to way. You will never get a chance to come back. So whatever you decide, you should decide after complete evaluation, after complete understanding of the situation. But if you have faith in yourself and you have wise decision making skills, it will definitely help you out. You will definitely become a winner. So that is the summary of this poem written by Robert Frost, the first chapter, the first poem of Standard 9. Hope you understand it. And